It's your boy Bud again, back with another one. This shit about to be lit, like all of them. I got the information straight from the ancestors. You feel me? Everything straight off the paper. Of course I studied it. Of course I study it. You know, ain't nobody just out here making PDFs. Anything that I put up, I can definitely back up and substantiate. So welcome to the channel. Like, share, subscribe. We about to go and get it straight on into it. Okay, starting with the picture on the left, we got the Zodiac circle. It shows the constellations. It shows the animalistic sign itself. Then it has the months, the monthly sign, and then the sun in the center. And with the picture on the right, it shows the different air signs and the different fire signs and the different earth signs and the different water signs. And notice that it's 3 of each. Today we're going to be going over the Zodiac. We're going to be going over numerology. We're going to be going over the connection between the universe, the Zodiac, and the connection between it, the black woman, but also just the woman itself. So let's get right on into it. Starting with the paragraph on the bottom, it says that the Zodiac is an unchanged map of the universe, which comprises 360 degrees. It says that the Zodiac is equally divided into 4 angles of 4 squares of 90, which represents east, west, north, and south, and fire, water, air, and earth, and the spring, summer, fall, and winter. 3 times 4 gives you 12. And the Zodiac is equally divided into 12 zones of 30. Each represents the 12 solar months, turned a year, and the 12 suns, which represents the human character, talent, action, and reaction. And some other information that I would like to add with that is that the circle that you see and the constellations themselves, down here on the as below level, on our monthly, it takes a cool 30 days, give or take. In the heavens, it takes 2,160 years to get through a constellation, to get through a zodiac sign. And the reason why that is important is because even more numerology that we're going to be doing today is going to be dealing with the number 9. And the constellations take 2,160 years to go through a constellation. And 2 plus 1 plus 6 give you 9. And it takes 12 of those to go about the entire zodiac circle. That means that we will have to multiply 12 by 2,160. And that gives us 25,920. And the reason why that's important is because 2 plus 5 plus 9 plus 2, of course plus 0, gives us the number 9 again. And the connection between this and the woman is that it takes 9 months for a woman to give birth. The baby is inside of the womb, tilted at a 90-degree angle, which we call the square. So the number 9 has a lot to do with us as 9 ether beings, and the number 9 has a lot to do with us especially inside of this PDF, because going into it, we have 12 signs, but we have 9 planets. And these 12 signs are governed by these 9 planets. So, let's get into it. Okay, so the header says Zodiac and the 12 signs, but on this slide, we're going to be talking about the lunar month and the 13 signs. So, pretty much some information that I'm going to give you before we start is that right now we're on what's called the Gregorian calendar, solar calendar, with 12 months, 365 days, and every 4 years a leap year. This was created back in the 1600s. Before then, we were on what was called the Julian calendar, which came from the Greeks. But before then, we were on what is called the ancient Moorish calendar. And this ancient Moorish calendar is what we would call the original calendar. This is the calendar where we get our original mathematics from. So, going into it, the importance of that fact is that we're on a 12 sign calendar, 12-month calendar. We had a 13-month calendar, which was a lunar calendar, which corresponded with the woman and her cycles. The 13th month was called Sol, S-O-L. And with us being in the 12-month cycle, clearly they took the soul out of that zodiac cycle. So, let's get into it. It says that a lunar month is approximately every 28 days, and that the word month comes from the word moon, where we get a lunar month from. It says that a woman releases an egg, in parentheses ovum, in harmony with the lunar cycle, 13 times or revolutions around the earth a year, or approximately every 28 days, 1 hour and 51 minutes. It says the natural planetary lunar cycle and its obvious relative relationship to prove woman to be the living calendar of earth, divine beings, in human form. It says 13 cycles times 28 days give us 364. And 1 hour and 51 minutes times 13 give us 24 hours or degrees or a day. And that 1 day plus 364 days give us 365 days. Now, while I'm on this paragraph, the word day and degree both mean the same thing on a higher esoteric level. Because normally you have 3rd degree, 33rd degree, and 360 degrees. We're talking about esoteric information. Now, the importance of that is that while we have those degrees, every day that goes past is a degree that goes past. And with it being 360 degrees inside of a circle, these are the degrees that correspond with masonry. And these same degrees correspond with the timing of the day, which turned into the days of the weeks of the months of the year, and etc., etc. Okay, next paragraph, it says that this brought about the ancients and still interested in recognition of the 13 lunar months in harmony with the 12 solar months, which would be better called signs. The 13 lunar months plus the 12 solar months equal the number 25. The number 25 numerically breaks down as 2 plus 5, which equals 7. The number 7 is in harmony with the 7 ruling planets in our solar system. The 7 ruling planets have been called in unity as one, the Elohim. Now, while we're hanging on this, the term Elohim is plural for the name God. And also back in the old Hebrew Bibles, this is why they keep changing your Bible, the term Elohim was used as what they call the royal word we, and the royal word us. Your book says, let us create man in our image. In the old Hebrew Bible, it said, let the Elohim create man. We'll get into that later. So it says that the 7 ruling planets work in harmony with the earth and the unity of the entire solar system. 13 and 12, numerically deduced to 7, constitute the circle of life, the 0 zodiac circle. So, there's more to us humans than we're being told. And I would like to start with the picture on the left. Now, we've all been to massage parlors and they've massaged your whole entire hand, fingers and pinkies and everything. Now, using the picture on the left, you can see why they do this. We carry a lot of stress and tensions that we're unaware of because we are out of tune and we are out of our original nature. You know, we weren't put here to work and to slave and to pay bills and all of that other stuff. We were divine beings and we're missing that information. So hopefully some of this can help us get back to that information. But when God gave the call to give the powers that be the permission to create us through the powers that flow through the universe, this is how we came about, through woman. And the powers that be operate through us. And we have to take care of ourselves because not only is your body the temple, your body is the vehicle that takes you through time and space. And just like you go and get a tune-up at a car shop, we have to tune ourselves up and keep ourselves in tune like a guitar or any other instrument. Because if the string goes out on the guitar, it's not the artist's fault. It's the fault of the weak string. So if something goes wrong with us, it's not God's fault. It's our fault for not being in tune. And with that being said, with the picture on the right, we can start to see how our cosmic zodiac sign could help us stay in tune. These were the sciences before modern medicine. And these sciences kept us in alignment with God. Because we didn't believe in idolatry. We didn't believe in worshiping anything because our sciences kept us as close to God as possible, knowing that, hey, right behind these sciences is God itself. So, the paragraph on the bottom says, knowledge of the zodiac gives one a perfect state of mind and reason upon that. Namely, the forces of nature which dwell within themselves and about them all, of which is referred to as heaven and happiness and peace of mind with oneself. So what we're going to be doing, going into the later slides, we're going to be going through the planets and how they correlate with the zodiac signs. We're going to be going over a little added information that the general public may not have. We're going to be going over some of the pros and cons that originally come with these signs, because no one's perfect, but our job is to be perfect or the closest to it. So let us continue. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries. And Aries is governed by Mars. So starting with the paragraph on the left, it says Aries is the ram, and that the sun enters this sign around March 21st, which is the original New Year's. When God said, "Let there be light," it took place around March 21st and April 1st, which is the original New Year's. The joke April Fools is when they changed the calendar from our calendar to other calendars, they were calling people fools for celebrating it in April. So yeah, continuing, it says that Aries rules the head. Its ruling planet is Mars. The opposite of Aries is Libra. Aries is the fire element of the cardinal signs. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Now remember, 4 times 3 gives you 12. These 4 signs are the starts of the 4 seasons. Okay, good information? I think so. All right, Mars, the planet of action. They told us Mars was the planet of war, but that's not correct. Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet of action. Its life principle is activity through enterprise, self-assertion, and energetic expression. Its symbol is the representative symbol in medicine for the male principle or positive force. This planet rules Aries. Its symbol implies functions which are essentially physical and sensual in expression. Youth is attributed to Mars, as is Venus. Also, what our ancestors knew was that if you became pregnant in a certain month, we already knew the month that you were going to be giving birth. We already knew the sign that you will be born into. So, it goes to say that if conception occurs while the rays of the sun is in the sign of Aries, between March 21st and April 19th, the child is born when the rays of the sun enter the sign Sagittarius, between November 22nd and December 20th. Also, even deeper information. It says 30 degrees because remember, the zodiac circle comprises of 12 signs, 30 degrees each. And Mars or Aries, is the first signs, and this is the first 30 degrees. It says that the sun in Aries gives good health, strength, willpower, independent of thought. It says that a person born while the sun is in Aries are endowed with leadership. They are also musically and intellectually inclined. The sun enters Aries every year on March 21st and remains until April 19th. The sun is exalted in Aries, which is the head. Okay, so now we're on Taurus. And Taurus is governed by Venus. And we're going to start with the paragraph on the bottom right this time. It says, Taurus, the bull. The sun enters this sign around April 20th. It corresponds with the neck and throat in the human body. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. Its opposite is Scorpio. Taurus is the earth element of the fixed signs. Okay, now going with the paragraph at the top. Venus, the planet of love. Venus is the planet of love and sympathy. Its life principle is unity through sympathy, evaluation, and feeling. Venus's symbol is a representative symbol in medicine and biology for the feminine principle or negative force in nature. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Venusian keynotes are love, harmony, and rhythm. Now with the bottom excerpt, it says, if conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Taurus, between April 20th and May 20th, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Capricorn between December 21st and January 18th. That's deep information. I just love how we just knew stuff like that. But it says the degrees are 60 because Mars was the 30 degrees. So Venus is now 60 degrees. It says that the sun in Taurus gives kind-heartedness, firmness, determination, and ambition to rise above common levels. It says that persons born while the sun is in Taurus are very talented and therefore will follow more than one occupation. They usually gain in money or property through relatives. The sun enters Taurus every year on April 20th and remains until May 20th. Venus or Taurus represents the neck in the human body. Okay, so now we're on Gemini. And Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So, starting with the paragraph on the top right, it says, Gemini, the twins. The sun enters this sign around May 21st. It corresponds with the lungs and chest in the human body. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Its opposite is Sagittarius. Gemini is the air element of the common or mutable signs. Now with the paragraph on the top left, it says Mercury, the planet of reason, and that Mercury is the planet of reason. Mercury's life principle is through mental transmission. This planet rules both Gemini and Virgo. Mercury's wisdom is represented by the staff of Mercury, two serpents twining around a rod. This indicates the riddle of life. Whence have we come? Why are we here? And whither are we bound? This shows the people the spiral path of involution by which the divine spark has buried itself in matter. Also, the spiral path of evolution by which humanity will eventually reach their spiritual goal, and the short road of initiation, represented by the central rod around which the serpents twine. To understand these mysteries, it takes reason and mind. Mercury is the mental educator of men and women. Now, to give some more information on that, Mercury is the Greek god also, because the words that we're choosing to use to name the planets, or even that we're choosing to use now, even in English, came from Greek and the other dialects that were here before the colonization. So, with that being said, the different forms of Latin. So, with that being said, if you really want to get down in some studies, go study who Mercury was, go study who Hermes is, study who Thoth is, and definitely Tahuti of Kemet in ancient Egypt. So that'll be real great information. Okay, now starting with the paragraph on the bottom right. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Gemini between May 21st and June 21st, the child will be born when the sun enters the sign of Aquarius between January 19th and February 19th. And that Mercury is 90 degrees. And that the sun in Gemini gives a strong, flexible, and the ability to adapt their talents to many lines. They are also fond of travel and dealing with the public. Females born under this sign show 2 marriages and the birth of twins. The sun enters Gemini every year on May 21st and remains until June 21st. Gemini is the lungs in the human body. Okay, so we're on Cancer, which is represented by the moon. Now, this is a lot of information, so I'm going to kind of speed through it. Cancer, the crab. The sun enters this sign around June 21st. Cancer corresponds physically with the breast and stomach. It is associated with motherhood. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The symbol for Cancer in ancient times was pictured as a beetle or scarab. This was the signature of the soul, or source of energy. Its opposite is Capricorn. Cancer is the water element of the cardinal signs. Now, starting with the paragraph on the left. The moon is the planet of rebirth, or fecundation, which pretty much means fertilization. The moon measures the soul's passage through the shores of eternity, through the waters of the womb, to the world of time. And this is how we're here now, as in our souls that are operating our brains, that's operating our bodies. The moon symbol concerns the dual nature of the human spirit, which is part conscious and part unconscious. Its life principles deal with rhythms through instinctive response, assimilation, and reflection. The moon rules Cancer. The moon also governs the human mind, the tides, the rise and falls of all nations, the order of ages, and the Timing of human conception. Childhood is attributed to the moon. According to occult science, Jehovah and his angels are the guardians of the seed atoms. This is the basic reason why angels herald the birth of sages in the Bible. It is often called the planet of germination. The moon also represents the female or negative force, which is pretty much termed cathode because nothing is necessarily negative force, or the woman principle, or the widow principle, which goes back to masonry. It says that the moon is also the feminine principle of all things. Luna governs the physical senses to a great extent. In these are included the animal passions, which we know as sex. She also controls the lower group of intellectual faculties. When there is a conjunction of the moon and sun at noon on January 1st, a master is born unto the earth. This occurs approximately every 600 years. And this is the astrological truth behind the Jesus story, how the stars lined up and they followed stars to go and find Jesus and all of this other stuff, and we'll get on that in another slide in PDF. But the bottom excerpt says that if conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Cancer between June 22nd and July 22nd, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Pisces between February 20th and March 20th. And right above this paragraph is 120 degrees. It says that the sun in Cancer gives love for home and family, old age security, and desire for music and pleasure. Persons born under this sign make qualified lawyers, nurses, and political leaders. They usually create their own difficulties and disappointments unless impatience and restlessness are overcome. The sun enters Cancer every year on June 22nd and remains until July 22nd. Cancer is represented by the breast in the human body. Okay, so now we're on the sun, and the sun governs Leo. Okay, so starting with the paragraph on the left. Leo, the lion, the sun enters this sign around July 23rd. Leo is associated with the heart and spine in the human body. It is ruled by the sun. Leo's opposite is Aquarius, and Leo is the fiery element of the fixed signs. And the sun, the giver of life. The symbol for the sun is a circle with a dot in its center. This is why they always tell you to stay centered. The dot signifies the nucleus or seed potential of each individual. The sun's life principle is power or self-integration and wholeness of being. The sun rules Leo. The sun also represents the positive force in nature or the male principle. It is the right side of your body. Emphasis is attributed to the sun. The eagle and the phoenix represents the sun. When the sun falls from its most intense heat in Leo to its deathbed of ashes in Capricorn, it rises once again from its deathbed to ascend to the throne of its highest position, intense brilliance, and physical power. This is the phoenix bird that died and resurrected itself. And when the sun is in Leo, it is 150 degrees in. I always mess that up. 150 degrees in. And it gives fondness for authority, generous, sympathetic, and ambitious. People born under this sign are endowed with many capabilities. They make fine actors, teachers, or instructors. The sun enters this sign every year on July 23rd and remains until August 23rd. And the sun is represented as the heart. That's why you got to have the heart of a lion. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Leo between July 23rd and August 23rd, the son or the child is born when the sun enters the sign Aries between March 21st and April 19th. And the sun is also synonymous for the word son. And they're both used in the Bible interchangeably, but a lot of y'all don't read it like that. And in another video, I'm going to give some instructions on how to actually read the Bible, because it's not just a general read like any other book. But let's go forward. Okay, so now we're on Virgo. And Virgo is also one of the planets, or one of the signs that are governed by the planet Mercury. Now, I'm going to read the paragraph on the right, because the things on the left I read earlier when we briefly visited Gemini. But after I read this paragraph, I have some other information that I'm going to add. So, it says Virgo, the Virgin. The sun enters this sign around August 23rd. Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury. It corresponds physically with the abdomen and intestines in the human body. Virgo is opposite of Pisces. Virgo is the only feminine figure in the Zodiac. Virgo is pictured as a woman holding sheaves of wheat. The ancients picture her as holding ears of corn instead of wheat. This symbolized fertility. Virgo was anciently worshipped as an earth goddess and has been identified with Isis, Ishtar, Persephone, and the Virgin Mary. Virgo governs our industries and organized labor, the eastern half of the United States of America, Canada, and the West Indies she governs. She governs coal mines, medical herb plants, chemistry, and granite rock composed of mica. Virgo is the earth element of the common signs. At the top it says, if conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Virgo between August 24th and September 23rd, the child is born when the sun enters the sign of Taurus between April 20th and May 20th. And down at the bottom left, Virgo is 180 degrees into the 360 degrees of the zodiac sign. The sun and Virgo give many talents and love of detail. Persons fond under this sign are musically and artistically inclined and are also fond of money and material gain. Unless careful, they are usually unfortunate in love and marriage, owing to their critical tendencies. They must have someone to encourage them constantly. The sun enters Virgo every year on August 21st and remains until September 22nd. Okay, now with that being said, the information that I wanted to add was that here we are on the as below level, and we go through zodiac signs from month to month. We leave Aquarius and we go into Pisces. Now, there's a lot of talk about how we just Pisces going into Aquarius, and that's because on the as above aspect, the zodiac signs, which are every 2,160 years apiece, they go counterclockwise. And a rabbit hole that I'm jumping down currently is that I'm aware that they go counterclockwise on as above aspect, as far as the heavens are concerned, and that they go clockwise down here. The dilemma that I'm having, it's not a dilemma because I'm going to figure it out, but Virgo is opposite of Pisces, meaning that Virgo is on the complete opposite side of the zodiac circle of Pisces. We just left the age of Pisces going into Aquarius, which is the age of awakening, which is why we're having this topic of conversation now. The thing that I'm trying to figure out is, if Virgo is on the opposite side, here we are over here where the Virgin gave birth to the sun. That sun was banging Pisces, not to say it like that, but that sun was, this is why Jesus was represented by the fish, because that was the age of Pisces. Now we just crossed over to the age of Aquarius. Now, my question is, when we're done with the age of Aquarius, would it go back to the sign that's opposite of Aquarius? Just a thought, but let's keep on pressing. Okay, so now we're on Libra, and Libra is governed by Venus, and Venus also governs Taurus. So now we're on Libra. Starting with the paragraph on the top right, it says, Libra, the scales. The sun enters this sign around September 23rd. It is governed by the planet Venus. Libra corresponds physically with the kidneys and lumbar region. Libra is the opposite of Aries. Libra is an inanimate object. The symbol resembles scales and signifies balance. Libra is the air element of the cardinal signs. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign Libra between September 24th and October 22nd, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Gemini between May 21st and June 21st. Libra is also what is called the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, this goes back to the ancient fight between Horus and Set, and how it's really about the sun and the moon and how they fight each other. They don't necessarily fight, but a portion of the year the sun is winning, and a portion of the year darkness is winning. This is where the term sunset comes from, because Horus is represented as the sun, or Ra, and Set, whose name is Set, represents the darkness after the sun goes down. We're in the Gregorian calendar now because they created this calendar to where darkness kind of rules longer than the sun. And this is why when they do daylight savings, we like, hey, if you just took 1 hour back, why is it dark at 4:30 in the afternoon? So yeah, that's what that is, because we crossed over into the Tropic of the Tropic of Capricorn, and the Tropic of Cancer is Aries when the sun is at its highest. So that is the Tropic of Cancer, and the Libra, which is the Tropic of Capricorn, where the sun is at its lowest. And the Gregorian calendar is how the evil people try to make darkness win over the light. So, Libra is represented by the 210 degrees of the zodiac circle. It says that the sun in Libra gives a sociable, romantic, and affectionate nature, and a great lover of beauty, art, and music. Persons born under this sign are subject to trouble in courtship and disappointment in marriage. They have a powerful imagination and a strong attachment for parents and relatives. They are also fond of many short journeys. The sun enters this sign every year on September 23rd and remains until October 25th. The sign Libra is represented as the kidneys inside of the human body. Okay, so now we're on Scorpio. And Scorpio is also governed by Mars. Mars is one of those planets that governs more than one zodiac sign. It also governs Aries, which is the head of the zodiac. But now we're on Scorpio, and Scorpio has a lot of information. So, one thing about Mars before I start is that Mars travels through our solar system 72 times in the course of 144 years. Now, the reason why any of that is fascinating is because the numerology. 7 plus 2 gives you 9, and 144 also gives you 9. And also, take that information and apply it to that 144,000. But, so, starting with the uppercase paragraph at the bottom, it says, because they're both uppercase, but the top one, or the middle one, it says, Scorpio, the scorpion. The sun enters this sign around October 23rd. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. The sign corresponds physically with the genitals, bladder, and rectum in the human body. Its opposite is Taurus. The ancients showed the legs and tail of the scorpion as the symbol, and the Mayans called it the sign of the death god. In the Euphrates Valley, the sign represented a monster, half man and half scorpion. The upper region belonged to the humans, and the lower region belonged to the underworld. Later, the upper region was symbolized by the eagle, which signifies the power within man to rise to tremendous spiritual highs. Another ancient symbol for this sign was the serpent or snake. Here, Scorpio symbolized the esoteric doctrine of the priests who guarded the Atlantean mysteries. And the Hermetics, when I say go back and look up who Mercury and Hermes and all of that, these are the Atlantean mysteries. The serpent, Uraes, Maja, was the emblem of cosmic wisdom and protruded from a point on the crown worn by the priests and kings, just a little above the nose, between the eyes. It is commonly referred to today as the third eye. This is where the human spirit has its seat. Many of the Hindu culture paint a dot at the center of theirs to display open consciousness and awareness of its existence. Scorpio is the water element of the fixed signs. 240 degrees is the placement in the zodiac for Scorpio. The sun in Scorpio gives pride, a firm mind, and strong character. Persons born under this sign will assume many obligations and usually gain money or property through marriage late in life. They are slightly jealous and also very sarcastic at times. They are fond of mysterious investigation. The sun enters this sign every year on October 24th and remains until November 22nd. And the scorpion symbolizes the entirety of sex and the sex organs inside of the human body. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Scorpio between October 23rd and November 21st, the child is born when the sun enters the sign of Cancer between June 22nd and July 22nd. Okay, so now we're on Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is governed by Jupiter. And we're going to start with the paragraph right under it. So, Sagittarius, the centaur, with the bow and arrow. The sun enters this sign around November 22nd. Sagittarius corresponds physically with the ribs and thighs. Its opposite is Gemini. Its ruling planet is Jupiter. The centaur or archer is pictured as a man whose lower parts are a horse. The dual creature implies speed and power. Sagittarius is the fire element of the common or mutable signs. Excerpt at the top left. Jupiter, the planet of benevolence. Jupiter is the planet of benevolence. Its life principle is expansion through growth and understanding. Human spirit must expand and develop to a higher consciousness. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and co-rules Pisces. Ripe old age is attributed to Jupiter. Bottom right. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign Sagittarius between November 22nd and December 20th, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Leo between July 23rd and August 23rd. And Sagittarius, the constellation, is 270 degrees inside of the zodiac circle. It says that the sun in Sagittarius gives a generous and alert mind, a merry disposition. Persons born under this sign have many problems to solve. Rather impatient at times, they are fond of travel over land. The sun enters this sign every year on November 23rd and remains until December 22nd. And Sagittarius represents the hips in the human body. Okay, so now we're on Capricorn. And Capricorn is governed by Saturn. And we're going to start with the middle paragraph on the right. It says, Capricorn, the goat. The sun enters this sign around December 22nd. It is ruled by the planet Saturn. Its opposite is Cancer. The physical correspondence in the human body is the knees. The sun's strength is weakest in Capricorn. The symbol is formed by the front of a goat and a curling fish's tail. Capricorn is the earth element of the cardinal signs. Now to the left paragraph. It says Saturn is the planet of sorrow, the grim reaper, the schoolmaster of the universe. The planet's life force is through restriction, discipline, and rigidity. The human spirit must discipline itself as it evolves and grows in consciousness. Saturn is often called the schoolmaster of the universe and the grim reaper because it requires adherence to nature's laws. Saturn rules Capricorn. Often it is associated with Aquarius as co-ruler with Uranus. And old age is attributed to Saturn as well as to Jupiter. 300 degrees is the placement in the zodiac circle for Capricorn. And the sun in Capricorn gives a serious and determined nature, practical and qualified to direct others. They are fond of the practical side of life, which makes them very prominent. They are also fond of music, dancing, and entertaining. The sun enters this sign every year on December 23rd and remains until January 19th. In the physical human body, the Capricorn sign is represented by the knees. If conception occurs while the sun is in Capricorn between December 21st and January 18th, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Virgo between August 24th and September 23rd. Okay, so now we're on Aquarius. And Aquarius is governed by Uranus. It says Uranus, the planet of altruism. Uranus is the planet of altruism whose life force is all-embracing love. The people who have this love become the builders of society. Uranus' life principle is devotion through invention, independence, and drastic sudden changes. Uranus rules Aquarius. Aquarius, the water bearer or water carrier. The sun enters this sign around January 20th. Leo is the opposite sign. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and secondarily by Saturn. Aquarius governs the calves and ankles in the body. The symbol resembles two ripples of water conducting light and electricity. The water symbols salvation and intuition. Aquarius is the air element of the fixed signs. And Aquarius represents the 330 degrees in the zodiac circle of 360 degrees. It says the sun in Aquarius gives broad-mindedness, deep sympathies, cautious, and wisdom in practical affairs of life. They are liberal and generous. They are always helping friends. They are fond of universal science such as astrology and like extensive travel. Yeah, that's my cousin all day. The sun enters this sign every year on January 20th and remains until February 19th. They're represented as the ankles in the body. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Aquarius between January 19th and February 19th, the child is born when the sun enters the sign of Libra between September 24th and October 22nd. Okay, so now we're on Pisces, and Pisces is governed by Neptune. Pisces is also the last sign in the zodiac circle. So, we're going to start with the paragraph on the top right. It goes to say, Pisces, the fishes. The sun enters this sign around February 19th. Pisces corresponds physically with the feet in the human body. Its opposite is Virgo, and it is ruled by the planet Neptune. This is the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the water element of the common or mutable signs. Now the paragraph on the left. Neptune is the planet of divinity and deception. Neptune is often called Vulcan, the planet of divinity and deception. Neptune is associated with Pisces. In order to achieve a higher consciousness, the mind or the evolving human spirit must transcend the physical. The symbol for Neptune is identified with the chalice of the Holy Grail legends. The spirituality ruled by Neptune will in time raise us beyond the state of human and make us divine. 360 degrees is the location for Pisces in the zodiac circle. For it's the last one, and it completes the 360 degrees. The sun in Pisces gives a restless, changeable disposition and a tendency to go to extremes in feelings and actions. Persons born under this sign are very psychic to hidden conditions. They are also fond of success and have many responsibilities, but they also have much hostility through their life. The sun enters this sign every year on February 20th and remains until March 20th. Pisces symbolizes the feet in the human body, and this concludes the 12 gates of life. If conception occurs while the sun is in the sign of Pisces between February 20th and March 20th, the child is born when the sun enters the sign Scorpio between October 23rd and November 21st. Look at you. Thought it was over. Nope, we're not done. So, what's going on is Pluto is the planet of legacies and inheritances. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, they said that Pluto is not in the solar system anymore. Remember who's the they that's giving you your information. So, Pluto is the planet of legacies and inheritances. This goes back to the Bible. This also goes back to the Moors and the Israelites. Jacob and Esau and Holmes tried to steal the inheritance. And just like right now with the Moors and the Israelites, they got us black people, or I said us black people, they got us Moors over here calling ourselves black people, and we're really the Moors. And now they're securing whole land for themselves and all of this and all of that, war, military, billions from countries or whatever, claiming to be the Semitic people while we're the Semitic people. But I'm going to get into that in this next slide. But Pluto also rules Scorpio. However, its planetary influences can only be seen if the person is of the highest spirituality. Its life principle is transformation through elimination and renewal. The Greek and Roman Pluto and Dis gods are representative of those who personify the higher and lower natures recognized in man. Okay, so what I'm about to explain now is ancient information. Before I explain this, I'm going to explain that any and all of this information I have on physical papers itself. I'm saying that to say that a lot of people would try to compare and contrast information using AI and ChatGPT. And listen, bro, I'm a real researcher, so I don't do none of that. You feel me? I research everything, article for article, site for site, book for book. I'm not having nobody tell me something and I'm going with it. This is how y'all fell into religion right now. So what's going on is a lot of the information that you're going to hear from this channel going to be, I can get it straight from the dragon's mouth because I can get it straight from the dragon's mouth. I'm not a chat GPTer. I'm not an AI user. This is why people, they have it like that so people don't know nothing now. The people that don't know nothing go to the most convenient source, which is AI, and they will regurgitate whatever was told to them. Meaning that the people that do research, they're going to research. The people that don't do research, they find a more convenient way to stop them from doing research. It's called indoctrination, but this time you're choosing it. So, I'm saying that to say that do your own research. You know what I'm saying? Because I can definitely substantiate what I'm talking about. And I'm living proof. I work this all day, every day, in court, out of court, all this shit. These folks fall and run. But I'm going to explain that in the next video. But, so, the Moabite nation named woman Zodiac, from which derives the name zoology and biology. The sources of evolution upon the physical, mental, and spiritual plane of life. The Moabite nation had no mystic God doctrine, contrary to Zodiac, the divine law of evolution. And what's meant by that is that, like was stated earlier about how right behind our sciences is God itself, because science is the closest thing that you're going to get to the fact. And the facts are what they are, and they've been carried down from a higher order above down to us below. And that's just how it worked. The courts work the same way, from higher orders, from understandings from above, ancient practices, and all the way down. And these are of the most ancientest they're going to come, from the Moors and the Moabite tribe, which were here before the Israelites, which were here before Hebrews, which were here before any of these different sections of people. Second paragraph, it says, after Zodiac, the Moabite woman had taught their male son offsprings the secret of Zodiac, the zodiac, zoology, and biology, and the laws of creation. And it resulted in the loss of their powers of creation and control of the world. Because we had powers back then. And right now we're operating at a low frequency, and we're going back up now, but we're operating in a low frequency. So these things that we call powers, like how and watch people playing with kinetic energy, they're knocking styrofoam and aluminum foil over with the forces from their hands. Yes, because people can feel it, and our brains have been stretched by the ideas that they gave us using superheroes. So we don't imagine that it can be ourselves because we've seen it stretched out somewhere else. And a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But all in all, so all of this took place by universal mind in 46,000 AM, and that's the ancient Moorish calendar, the era of Atlantis, and Mu of Yucatan. And that's Mu as in like Lemurians and all this other type of stuff associated with that type of stuff. Let me say that. So third paragraph, it says that the age of man-made gods since the fall of the Moabite nation in 49,000 ancient Moorish calendar is only 2,000 years ago. And this is where the story of Jesus came from, because our fall was around that time. Because the age of Pisces, which is 2,160 years, was ruled by the Romans. And if you think things were worse, or you think things are bad now, things were worse then, to the fact that, they had to send a damn savior. Not even say it like that though, but when you really get into the understanding of what all took place on the different levels of it, yes, it wasn't how they cooked it up in the book, but yes, there was a highly intelligent brother that was here that was setting the record straight. And the Romans put their hands on this man, and following that, pretty much catastrophic events took place that led us to where we are now. And they're going back up. The end of their ruling, and it's all of this that I'm talking about is governed by the stars. So if anybody familiar with how universal prophecy work, we can talk about it. So, but all in all, it was only 2,000 years ago. It says, now evolution of man-made gods since the fall of Zodiac began with the last high priest, astrologer, metaphysician, of the Moabite nation by the name of Moor. This is where the term Moor comes from. It was originally spelled M-U-U-R. Here now we spell it M-O-O-R from a translation from Moabite. But this is how it was originally spelled. Mor Lu Akin El, who named the creator of the universe El, which goes back to why the term for God is El, and the word Elohim is plural for God, which we stated earlier. It says, and then gave Yaqub the name Israel, and the God Elohim, translated as El Ilah Eloh, or if I said that, all right, whatever. Translated as pretty much Jehovah, and then Adonai, Krishna, Eli, which they say Allah right now. It says, thus man-made gods have undergone 7 stages of evolution since the fall of the Moabite nation in 49,000 ancient Moorish calendar, which was pretty much 2,000 years ago during the Roman era. And that whole entire era was already forecasted and foreseen using Zodiac calculations, because we're not just calculating, people don't just calculate eclipses. They see this stuff thousands and 10,000s of years away. And, but all in all, that era has ended. We are now back in spiritual control, and we're just waiting for it to catch up in physicality. They coming out with so many more devices to keep people ignorant to it and away from it, because remember, they demonized it, but now we're back on our information. And now they're coming out with devices and got you running in the rat circle at job and work, so nobody ever has time to sit down. So I do want to appreciate everybody that are listening. I do want to appreciate every bit of information, every book I studied. I appreciate all the ancestors, people that came before me that dropped this information off.